So let's get into today's conversation about lock count. Who here knows how many locks they have? Anybody know how many locks they have? If you know how many locks you have, press a 2. If you don't know how many locks you have, press a 3. Ever since my first lock journey, me personally, I have always counted the number of locks that I have. There is a lot of superstition around not counting your locks and that being problematic. So I personally, I feel like I don't subscribe to that superstition, and I've always counted the number of locks that I have. With that being said, put your lock count in the comment. How many locks do you have? And I'm trying to really see something, because a lot of times, I don't want to say a lot of times, but as a loctician, going into your consultation, because I always highly encourage you to get a consultation, I've heard people say, I would like 82 locks. I would like 40 locks. I would like 150 locks. And I've heard that like having your lock count and sharing it with people is a way that you can connect, right? Like, okay, anybody here have less than 40 locks? Raise your hand. I personally have 36 locks. Here's the thing, and here's where this can get very tricky, and this is why I want you to be aware of this lock count situation. Yes, it's good to know. It's nice to know, rather, how many locks you have. But if you come to me, come on my page, and you're like, how many locks do you have? And I tell you, I have 36 locks. You go to your loctician and you're like, you know what? I want to start my locks. I want my locks to look like her locks, meaning my locks. And she has 36, so I want about 36 locks. The problem comes in because what you didn't ask me were, a lot of times, I don't think I've ever met anybody online digitally that has said, how many locks do you have and what's your hair texture? I don't think no one's ever said that. They may infer it, but I have very fine hair. So I have 36 locks, and my locks look kind of thick, medium-ish thick locks. You see one of my girlfriends, my sister friend, who has both sides of her head shaved. Like, this whole area is gone. She only has locks in the middle, and she still has more locks than me because she has really thick hair. Her hair is so thick. And so lock count can get you in trouble if you're trying to replicate, or I don't want to say copy, but have locks like somebody else, and you all don't share the same hair texture, hair curl pattern, density is off and different. Maybe you're experiencing some alopecia in certain areas. Maybe you have weaker areas. Like, lock count can be problematic for that reason. So it's nice to like get a range with your lock count, but it should not be, and I encourage you not to have it be the defining thing. Like, I need 25 locks because this person has 25 locks. All right, so keep that in mind. The other thing that I want you to know about lock count, the even number and the odd numbers, this really matters, or I don't want to say really matters, but comes into play when you're trying to style. Yeah, like Shanice says, when you have an even number of locks, you're able to do like styles like 2-strand twists, with my favorite Nubian twist. That's like my go-to. It was between Nubian twists and pin curls for me. But lately I've been loving Nubian twists on my locks. When they were shorter, pin curls my jam. Now that they're longer, yeah, I'm gonna need to do something to kind of control everything. But yeah, the even number, you're able to do styles that require that are in twos. But if you have small locks, like sister locks, don't really matter because your locks are so small, you can you're not like, oh, let me get 8 sister locks. But if you have medium to thick locks, like I'd say if you have less than about 80 or so locks, having an even number or a number that's divisible by 2 and 3 will allow you to do whichever style easily. Versus me, if I had 37 locks, it'd be a problem because I could do 2 strand twists. There's going to be one giant lock in there, one big fat one, or one that's going to have to be braided. That was me with my last set of locks. And that is why I knew with this set, all right, got to be divisible between 2 and 3 so that I can, style without worry. Okay? So if you're starting over, or if you're wondering like, why are styles off? Like, why is my styling a little bit off? Might be the count, okay? But if you have really small locks or over 80 locks, it don't really matter. Your locks are small enough that you can kind of play around with it. So what I want you to know with your lock count, it's going to vary for everybody. Everyone's lock number is going to be different based on their texture, based on the density, based on the parting system that they choose. All right. So the lock count is not end all be all. So if you go into your appointment and you're like, I need 500 locks. Why? Why do we need 500? Your goal is to have them be full and thick. All right. We can work with that. But 500, having 500, we gotta adjust there. Also, I want you to know, having a high lock count does not mean they're going to be more versatile. All right. Just because you have a large number of locks or a lot of locks doesn't mean it's going to give you versatility. All right. Because you got to take in consideration how they're parted, how they fall on your head, how easily you can do styles. I've had people ask for like a lot of locks. They have so many locks. Once they become mature, they're like, I can't style them because I can't get them all up. I can't figure out where it needs to be positioned on my head. It feels too heavy up there. Like, just because you have a lot of locks does not mean they're going to be more versatile. All right. And then having an even number or an odd number really only matters if you're trying to have thick locks or larger size locks so that you can more easily style them and wear them down, like braids and Nubian twist, lock knots, things like that, right? So if you could do it all over again, if you could start your locks all over again, would you keep the same number of locks that you have right now? Let me see where we're at. Let me get a 6 if you would get more locks. Let me get a 7 if you would keep it the same. And let me get an 8 if you would go down. Like, you know what? Not doing all of this. I'm not doing all of this again. Thank you all so much for joining me, family. I will talk to you soon. I have to go get to my students.